Welcome to Cloud Realities Live, an original podcast from Capgemini, and this week in partnership with Google Cloud. I'm Dave Chapman.
I'm Esmee van der Giezen.
And I'm Rob Kernahan.
And we are back in Vegas for Google Cloud Next 2025.
Back again.
Back again.
Back again.
It's like we had a conversation on the way over that Vegas is, I think, becoming my most visited place in the world outside of where I actually live.
Yeah, if you go outside of country where you live, this I think is number 2 for me now.
I think it's probably top 3, but it's top 3 with a bullet. And I expect within the next couple of years it's going to be top 1.
It's going to be one, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
It's the only place built for this type of event, really. There's a few, but this place does it really well.
You only have to go to one in a more traditional conference center where you have to use public transport, like to get across the center or to get from your hotel the other side of town to get it, and you realize like it just doesn't work as well.
It's designed for it.
So Vegas is amazing. So look, we've got a lot coming this week. We've got a deep dive, unsurprisingly, into the themes of AI and all of the aspects of the themes of AI. We're going to put about 8 mini episodes out. The first day's releases are going to be on sort of strategy and AI development itself and use of AI in organizations. Second day, industry deep dives.
Yep.
And then the third day, macro effect, and then the use of the need for leadership with an AI transformation. But before we get to all of that, let me introduce our guest for today. So we've got Saurabh Tiwary. Saurabh is the VP and General Manager for Cloud AI at Google. Saurabh, thank you for joining us today in a very busy schedule, I'm sure. How are you?
I'm doing good, and thank you for inviting me as well. Super excited to talk all about AI.
Yeah, I mean, you are right at the heart of the innovation in Google.
All the energy in this area. Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, though, we went to see David Copperfield last night.
We did, and you know what? I was thoroughly entertained.
It was
amazing. It was. Yeah. No, the whole. I wasn't sure what to expect, and then when I went in, and then we got the cheeky upgrade where they put us down the front. That was quite cool.
So we go in. We booked 2 sets of tickets. We tried to get reasonably close to each other, and then when we went in, Marcel went over to this couple that was sitting in kind of they were sitting next to us, weren't they? Yeah, sitting next to us. And so Marcel sort of negotiated swapping seats with them, and they actually got a better seat in the row in front. So the 4 of us are sat there, and then this guy comes up to us and goes, you guys together? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, want to come down the front?
Wow.
So they literally put us in this booth.
Nice.
Literally right in the middle.
It was all around us. He was doing the magic around us. It was really cool, wasn't it?
We were so gonna, we're also a bit anxious, like, he's gonna get us on stage.
I see.
Absolutely thought we were being set up.
Yeah.
And I was like mentally readying myself, you know what I mean?
To vanish away.
Yeah, disappear, Dave, disappear.
No spots on my t-shirt, am I okay?
Now, can you imagine the HR forms you'd have to fill in for that one? We lost Dave, where'd he go? I don't know, he disappeared. But literally, he was there 1 minute and then he was gone the next.
That's magic.
But what it really reminded me of, the whole magic thing, was the Arthur C. Clarke quote that says, any technology that's sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. And in the world of AI that we're seeing at the moment, that this whole magic thing feels like if you brought a person from even 20 years ago and put them in front of Gemini 2, what are they going to make of that?
I know. It's moving so fast, isn't it? 2.5 Pro now released for everyone, so you can update it. It's on my phone already. I used it this morning. It's very impressive, and top of the AI ranking board according to the keynote this morning, which is cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I will add to the Arthur C. Clarke's quote is there is another quote which is like, the future is here, it's just unevenly distributed. One thing we are noticing is that uneven distribution is actually shrinking. Right. As an example that you said about the Gemini app having the 2.5 Pro, now think about it, right? The latest model, which even internally within Google, we just finished training like a couple of weeks back, is available to almost any person in the world.
Wow.
Right?
Democratization of AI, it's cool.
And it is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But look, before we get in, we're going to dive right into the heart of the developments going on at Google around AI. So it's going to be a fascinating conversation with Saurabh. But let's just quickly have a look at what happened in the keynote and some of the big themes of the week. So let's quickly look at, take an outlook on what the next few days are going to have in store and review some of the themes. Rob's going to take us through that in a second, but I'm delighted to say joining us just for this very quick little look at themes, we've got James Goeders, who's the head of product for Google Quantum AI. Hey, James, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
A real pleasure, and thanks for dropping in for a couple of minutes to share your initial thoughts on the next few days. When we're going to do a full episode of the show with you in the next month or so, I think.
That's right. Yeah, hopefully in May.
Really looking forward to that. And we're going to talk about, the intersection between quantum and AI, what's going on with Willow, and a number of other things in quantum. So really looking forward to that very shortly, James. That'll be good.
Yes. I'd love to talk about all the great stuff going on with our quantum program.
Can't wait to hear it. But before we get to that, though, let's get Google Next done. Robert, themes from this morning's keynote.
So I'm picking up 6 themes, Dave, 6 vibes that are going on. So I'll run through them quickly and then we can have a quick chat about them. And I'm sure they will expand as the announcements go on. But the first one was agentic AI and AI agents. So not surprisingly, AI everywhere as far as the eye can see, and huge advancements in agent-based AI, how to connect, how to build, how to interact, the environment associated with that, so we can unpack that as the shows go on. Huge investment in infrastructure underpinning, so we see 75 billion in investment in the platform, the core. We got the Willow story about excellent error correction, allowing it to scale, which was great to see in the keynote. Ironwood TPU's on its 7th iteration, 29 times more efficient than the first iteration, and can scale up to 9,000 units, which is quite cool. So to come and train your models, do it fast and efficiently. Opening up of the cloud network and an NVIDIA partnership as well. So that was good. Then loads of updates on models, Gemini 2.5, that's something which I did actually use to create this morning. It was very, very useful.
Check you out.
It's very,
I wondered why it was so accurate.
accurate and timely. It
was unusually
So
clear.
not wrong.
It was Rob's got some extra help from AI this morning to do it. So there's loads in that around just the models and the updates and the availability. So the open ecosystem again, and how things like Kubernetes will work with it, etc. Big announcements about security announcements as well. So Google Unified Security. I know how much you love security, Dave, and how important it is, but that's getting a load of AI integrated
Thrilling
into
topic,
it.
And, it's a thrilling topic.
Threat defense. Well, it's very important, isn't it? You can't run a successful business while the back door's wide open and all the nasties are coming in.
Is that what you always say?
Yeah, that's what I always say. You know what I always say. The 5th theme I picked up in is continuing about being open. So we see open data, multi-cloud integration. We see everything can be connected. So we see that. That's always been a big theme at Google Next, and it continues. And the multi-cloud story is a strong one that came out. And then the final part, which I know is rising as a conversation at the moment, is about being sovereign. 2 very key announcements about that, which is Gemini and Google Agent Space can be deployed on GDC. So you can have your own copy of it. And the other one is NVIDIA collaboration for the Secure AI platform as well, to put their technology into that so you can build that AI ecosystem of your own. And we discussed a bit of that mobile world and things like this, but we see that sort of have your own wherever you want it. And along with that, focus on edge, and continues to emphasize that you can process at the edge, AI at the edge, low latency, all that sort of thing. So that was all quite good. That is just my cut in time now. I'm expecting a lot to go on throughout the show, so we'll mature those, but yeah. There we go.
I mean, it's a chunky set of announcements, I thought.
Yeah, it's a big
James.
one this year.
Now, there's been a lot, and I think there's a lot still to come. Really ways that we want customers to come to Google Cloud and do interesting science, do interesting computations. And I think you're going to continue to see the investments we've been making to really boost our computational power.
So there's some other aspects to it that I thought were terrifically interesting. So there's we're going to explore kind of agentic and AI fairly extensively,
loads of that
over the course of the next couple of days. But a couple of the ones we might not get to that I thought were just struck me as being pretty interesting. Just sort of hidden in all of that you said it, Rob, but it was kind of hidden in the middle somewhere, which is opening up of the Google network for customers to use. I mean, I thought that's pretty awesome. And you're well known as having one of the biggest, if not the biggest, kind of backbone across your cloud.
Planetary scale network.
Planetary scale. Yeah. Super high bandwidth.
Yeah.
And customers being able to traverse that Could be enormously important for them.
40% reduction in TCO if you use it from the use cases what got announced on the keynote. So there's a really good reason to use it. It's cheaper and faster and better.
Yeah. So the cloud can literally be your WAN.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing, isn't it? We talked about when you put the network integration along with the compute on top, and as it goes up, that's a very powerful value prop, isn't it? The integration of the comms and the cloud together works well.
That's right. And then the rise of sovereign. I wonder if you've got a quick take on sovereign AI. Not so much.
Not so much. Sorry, no.
No, I mean I just think it's super interesting at the moment that like nation state AI and stuff like that. You know, like the emergence of AI that's like representative of that particular nation's language, their industries, those sorts of things. And then when you kind of add into that, one of the other announcements, like agents being able to talk to each other.
Yeah, I thought that was very cool.
There's a very real chance you've got nation state AI talking to each other.
Well, that's maybe how the future will be, isn't it? There's open communication. So you build your agent, and the vision is they all just come together, have a chatter behind our back, and decide what the answer is, and then let us know.
It makes negotiations a lot easier,
Yeah,
right?
it does. Yeah.
I mean, literally, right?
No, that's
We'd be able to do almost instantaneous negotiations, so they wouldn't have to spend ages parsing stuff between themselves. They just kind of bang, done.
A stat you'll like is in the agent environment on Google, you can create your own agent with less than 100 lines of code. So I thought that was quite cool. So that's how easy it is. Now, I did see that they didn't point out how long the line of code was, because in the old day, we all used to do that incredibly complicated, just do one massive line of code. But yeah, it sounds like it's getting a lot easier for everyone to build their own.
Yeah. James, thanks for joining us, just dropping in and saying a quick hello, and we'll speak to you again in a few weeks' time. Have a great time in Google Next.
Thanks so much. Hope you guys have a great week.
Thanks, dude.
Cheers.
So that was a good run through, I think, of what we heard this morning. Saurabh, what's your walking in thoughts for Google Next this week? And have you heard anything that surprises you?
No, my team has been in the thick of all of these things, just as maybe a more of an explanation. So the cloud AI organization that I lead, it includes Vertex, includes Collab, Notebooks, Kaggle, the competition site, which is there. There is Apigee, which is the API management thing, the software solution, as well as AppSheet, which is low-code, no-code platform. So a lot of the announcements at the next keynote were kind of like people from the team actually working super hard towards it.
Right.
I would say the thing which fascinates me, and I actually mentioned it in the group chat that we are having with my team members, etc., is yes, I get to see all of these things like being built up, but putting it all together and seeing that whole comprehensive view, whether it be from the models itself, where we are co-building the next generation of AI models and exposing it to the world, to the agents framework, to security aspects, right? Seeing all of that flow through is just impressive
Where
to
the
me.
magic happens,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's that I'm going to use the word, the converged environment, or you've got all these great vertical technology capabilities and you bring them all together and you get this very impressive end-to-end capability.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for, since we've been on this journey, actually, that what we haven't got, and I'm really expecting this year to be where it evolves and comes together, and actually you've certainly seen some of that in this morning's announcements, I think, is like a scaling framework for AI that can be then applied to full top to bottom businesses.
Yeah.
So it's not just like POCs here and there. It's like it all connects up. Do you see this year as being moving into like that scaling conversation?
Yeah, completely agree. Like if you think about like the 2 years back, it was like, oh, Gen AI is something interesting.
Yeah.
Last year was a lot of prototypes and interesting use cases and the first things like getting into production. This year we are seeing across our customers a strong demand and intent towards deploying it at scale to extract business value, right? And just as an example, like agent space is one thing that we talked about in the keynote as well, which is about how do we take all the pieces, whether it be Google quality search, whether it be the conversational AI experiences that we have built, as well as with the power of all the data that is there sitting inside enterprises, whether it be the software solutions like SharePoint or Jira or Google Drive, etc., and then having agents on top of that work across all these disparate software systems, right? And putting it all together, that's like just amazing. And you will see more of that. Yeah.
And I mean, the thing that's very powerful for that for me is I'm a great believer in change the experience, change the way of thinking, you get the radically different results. And that's what you're doing with that. Is it the traditional fighting, that which was your architecture of the past now can all be easily brought together, and then it just gets rid of all that friction, and it's a nice experience change. And then you don't have to be super techie to understand it in the same way. You can go into an environment where actually you understand the business, you may not understand the technology, but you can get a good result out of it.
Yeah,
it's very powerful.
And I think like we talk about agents. If you go talk to a lot of like normal users, right, they will think of agents as sophisticated technology. One of the workflows that we are building within agent space is as you interact, so there is a box which is there where you can interact and you can start doing like repetitive things like, oh, you are like, there are POs that you are trying to analyze whether you should approve or not, etc. Let's say you are doing it a few times. The system understands itself and says, do you want to create an agent for it? Okay. And you just press a button and it will just automatically create that agent for you.
That's very cool.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Can I get one that just does my job for me? Just sort of monitors me for about 10 minutes and realizes it just has to mimic sleeping or something.
I think of all the roles, I mean, you would have thought architecture quite straightforward to build an agent for. It's all rules based.
Yeah.
The whole architecture job profile has changed massively over the last few years anyway, about how you need to think, how you're going much closer to the business, and a lot of what you used to do is now just taken care of in the system. So yeah, there is a bit about the replacement of.
So you'll have an architecture agent who, kind of invents the strategy, and then who talks to all of the agents that are running the infrastructures to automatically just deploy.
That is the job of the architect, to glue everything together to get an end-to-end solution, right? Yeah. And that is literally what we're talking about, isn't it? One agent controlling the other agents, and off you go. But that's it. So, Dave, I'll just hang up me jacket and go now, shall I? Just that was it. Where did Rob go? I just decided it was all over.
Saurabh, do you also do that with your team? It's like a different mindset, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a transition that the team has to also go through.
Yeah.
I would say across a few facets. One is the speed of innovation, right? As I was just alluding to, that from the moment like the models are training, and obviously all of it is like centered around models because they need to have these strong reasoning capabilities, understanding capabilities, language, and all of that, speech, video, etc., and all of that, right? But from there to getting into production, it's like a matter of weeks, right? And so that time has been squeezed down a lot. In terms of what we are building, for example, all the announcements that we did relating to the agent development kit, as to this is open source package, which is to help people build agents. There is an agent engine which will connect to the agent development kit so that you can run agents in a managed environment, and agent garden. All of these things are built in lockstep with how the technology is evolving on the Gen AI front. And you cannot have these independent, like in the past, what was happening was that you would have these independent teams working on, say, 6 months, year-long, or even longer projects, and somehow they should all connect together.
Handover, yeah.
Right? Now it is like all needs to be like really aware of each other, and that is an organizational challenge, as you can imagine.
And it changes communication pathways in teams, and that's the thing that people have to learn to behave differently associated with the technology that allows you to do it. So
actually we have it also goes into like how do you run our organizations as well, right? Which is about like the projects will be very fluid, right? Like tomorrow, let's say we start seeing newer capabilities come up, right? That sets, okay, now we need to change like directions and paths, etc., and evolve our things or our solutions very, very quickly.
There was always that conversation we had about corporate strategy and we do it in 12 months. And then you go, well, maybe we should do it a bit short. Maybe we should do a bit short. And this is the type of technology that means you'll have to iterate your strategy fast, isn't it? And I think that's upsetting a lot of the more traditional organizations that struggle to rewire themselves in the way you're sort of describing.
I wanted to talk about this notion of just how fast everything is moving. Like the rate of innovation, like when you look back 10 years ago, like where cloud was.
Yeah.
And AI seems to have got there at least twice as fast, if not faster than that. And you and your team are right at the heart of that. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind just giving us a sketch about what you and your team do, and how on earth are you innovating so quickly?
Yeah, so the way to think about my team is it's an interface. So there's a lot of customer-facing relationships which is there about understanding customer needs. What are the solutions, given that we are cloud and a platform like business to begin with? What are the building blocks that we need to go build, right? As well as connect with the research component, right? Because earlier it used to be the case that, oh, research is a long-term thing and they will do their own thing, etc. Right now, a non-trivial portion of my team sits with Google DeepMind together in the same offices. We take customer feedback. So let's say Gemini is not performing or VO is not performing on certain aspects, right? So as an example, I would say in the VO2 announcements today, we talked about this camera pan and zoom capabilities, right? So when we released or announced VO2 last year, we got feedback that creators want a lot more control with respect to how the videos are generated, right? And so that feedback was passed on to the Google DeepMind team, right? We worked together, we identified benchmarks, etc., and so on, measured progress over there. And that has come out in a fairly short period of time. If you think about like VO2, if I'm not mistaken, was like announced maybe 4 or 5 months back.
Yeah.
And so from there to now, we have all these other capabilities like the magic eraser function that was also shown in the keynote, right? These are all capabilities which are coming from cloud customer feedback,
right?
And getting converted into products.
What I actually love, you start to smile, and I know it's a podcast, so people are not able to see it, but every time you talk about the team and how they do things, you express like you're so proud.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, this is simply fascinating. Like I think I will go back to the quote about the magic piece.
You are creating magic.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually watching magic. I mean, to a certain extent, I would say I'm watching magic happen with the team, and obviously kudos to the team. The team works super hard to get us to where we are.
Well, it's like, when we talked about the magic quote, which is like if you brought somebody from 20 years ago and had them interact with your new release of Gemini, their mind would be blown.
Yeah.
But actually, almost if you just take us back 18 months.
Yeah.
And we're right in the middle of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how kind of impressive it is.
Just the personal productivity, let alone all the great things we can do about the enterprise, changed dramatically, hasn't it? So that's quite impressive.
Yeah. So how are you generating this speed? So you certainly, I can see where the feedback loop is. You're hearing direct from customers. It's going into teams like DeepMind. It's being implemented and then released so quickly. But that last bit of the loop, the actual speed of implementation is like lightning fast. How are you achieving that?
Yeah, so even over there, I mean, there are different tiers. So the models, we are trying to squeeze that time to the matter of days, and literally like a handful of days, right? We have, I think, across our release channels. Now, the challenge, let me call out one of the challenges, and then we will talk about like how to address it. One challenge is that enterprises like predictability, right? You don't want things to change too dramatically, right? Before they even get to know it, you don't expect to change it. So what we have done is we have announced like different release paths. So there is an experimental model where we say that this is truly experimental, and if you want to test the latest and the greatest, you can go do that. Then we have something called a private preview. So Gemini will be announced as Gemini 2.5 Pro, for example, is in the experimental channel.
Yeah.
Then there is a private preview, and then there is GA. Anything which is in GA, we will support it for some non-trivial period of time, like a fairly long period, at least a year, if not more, over there, right? So we have these different tracks which are there. One very interesting thing that we are noticing is typically enterprise customers would, in the past, just wait for GA to happen or general availability and then go and use those models. Now we are seeing very, very strong demand for access to our experimental models.
Wow.
As an example, just in January, we had a experimental allow list for one of our models, and we had to increase the size of that allow list by 1 order of magnitude, by 10x.
Oh, wow.
Because of the demand from the customers that they wanted to try the latest and the greatest, right? And so we are now creating these constructs of how can even researchers go deploy code into production with our help on the experimental channel, right? And even if you think about like the efficiency access, like one other thing which is like very powerful and to a certain extent unique for Google Cloud is the vertical integration that we have, right from the chips like the TPUs to the models to the applications, like all the way up. Over there, from an inference perspective, we want to squeeze down performance, meaning squeeze as much amount of compute as we can from the unit of hardware. And through that mechanism, we can pass on the cost benefits to our customers, right? One very interesting observation that we have had is initially when GPT-4 came out, the price at which the price per million tokens that it was set to what 2.0 Flash offers, there is 2 orders of magnitude or 100x cross compression, which has happened within a matter of 18 months, 24 months, something like that, right? And the team is working super hard on that front as well.
Right.
Because once the price goes down, it opens up opportunities for applying AI into a lot more scenarios that traditionally you wouldn't even have thought about, right? And so these are like very, very interesting aspects where we are working very, very hard and hopefully making progress along the way.
I mean, congratulations on just the sheer volume of announcements and speed that you guys are achieving. I did want to pick up on one of the things that was announced, and we sort of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think it's interesting enough to actually go a bit deeper on, which is agent-to-agent protocol.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like this is gonna, agents by themselves were quite an impressive concept and implementation, and you can see them popping up in different places. But agent-to-agent protocol, what is so important about that to you, and how can you see it kind of transforming organizations?
So agent-to-agent protocol, the way we envision the world is a heterogeneous world to a certain extent relating to agents. We have our own framework. We announced the agent development kit, the agent engine relating to that. But there have been a lot of other agents which have already been built on things like LangChain. There is like Magentic One. There are different frameworks on which they have been built. The agent-to-agent framework, and we are proud to have partnership with 50 different companies as of now, and hopefully it should grow more as well, is how do we orchestrate across fully functioning agents which are designed for specialized tasks. So you may have something which is like, I don't know, if you want to onboard an employee, right? You may want to set up their payroll, you may want to set up their LDAP or their account systems, password, things like that, etc. Right? You may want to assign even like, I don't know, onboarding documents, etc. to them, or training documents and so on. And let's say a company has all of these as separate agents. You can now have an orchestrator which can connect to all of these pre-built agents so that you don't have to make a strong decision of like throwing all the past work away, right? Obviously, the agents will be very capable and built if they are built. And I mean, we believe based on our framework. But if you already have pre-built ones, the agent framework can actually interact through the agent-to-agent protocol. It can invoke these agents on demand, and they can do the work, the sub-component work which is there, etc.
Do you see a situation where agents in one organization might talk to agents in another organization, so they're actually doing, the business of that organization between themselves?
Yeah, completely. And that has been the thought process or the premise. Like partners like ServiceNow, Salesforce, like all of these partners, we are working together to build these type of agents which are interoperable.
And there's a theme here, isn't it? There's the agents get together and decide they can do a better job than a division in a company. They go and chat and create new business models, crack new contracts, and then you get your report saying, hang on, the agents have outperformed the team 10x. And you can see it coming, can't you?
Not only that, they can pop up new businesses, presumably, eventually.
Yeah. We'll just create a new business venture with this company over here and start to sell a new go-to-market.
Actually, let me plug we have an idea generation agent.
Yeah.
What it does is, and also was covered as part of the keynote, which is that you say, so you have already through agent space, you have already provided access to all the data, again, across, it honors all the permissions and everything. So you have all the data from the enterprise, and you say, I want to evaluate whether we should go into this particular industry or not, or what are the pros and cons, or pick any other thing, right? Like any business related thing, right? Or what should I do with respect to the pricing of this product, given all the competitive market pressure which is there from these other competitors and so on, right? Things like that. What it will do is it will populate many different agents under the hood. It takes some time because it has to do a lot of like heavy like interaction engagements with respect to orchestration. It populates many agents. They propose ideas. It does a tournament style matching. So it does pairwise comparisons, right? Based on like practicality, viability, etc. and so on.
Right.
It picks better ideas. Then it competes amongst all of them as well. And it keeps on improving on that, and finally you will get a full report with the best performing
Wow.
idea which is there, and you can deploy.
That's cool.
I like that. That is literally like, and it'll happen in moments compared to what a normal enterprise would have to go
literally-
through.
Yeah.
That it's like it'll be
Yeah, that would be an ongoing process for human beings, but presumably everything you've just described will be almost instantaneous.
If you're a business leader, right, and you think about how do I keep it fresh, make sure I don't miss anything, am I doing the right things? That sort of system just constantly working in the background, prompting you. We always talked about we prompt the AI, but this is where the AI should continuously prompt us and say, hey, you're doing the wrong thing here. You're missing a trick. You've got that over there. That whole idea of it just, coming to you with ideas. It's quite cool, isn't it? I like that.
It is. And the other thing we've been exploring a bit on the show generally, and we'll be talking about it this week, is sovereign AI.
Yeah.
And sovereign AI, obviously, from a point of view of the kind of the actual digital supply chain itself and the physical underlying hardware and things like that. But actually, sovereign AI, from a point of view of it, of AIs representing nation states, so speaking in the language of the nation state, representing industries and values of nation states. You can imagine a world where they're also agentic. So you might have nation state AIs talking to each other.
Yeah, so I think sovereign has like many different aspects due to the geopolitical nature of like how the world is evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
We see strong demand and interest, and we predict as well that the needs for nationalistic or sovereign behavior will be stronger as we go forward.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the announcements that we had today was about like many different regions of faster, like for example, this Google wide area network that we talked about as well with respect to connecting pieces if the companies want across these different geo-distributed data centers which are there. Gemini, for example, we announced will be operating within air-gapped environment, right, which we haven't done ever till now.
Right,
And it
right.
was quite a bit of heavy lift, as you can imagine, relating to that.
I'm not sure I can actually imagine. So it's so massively ahead of like my comprehension at this point.
Yes. So we are making all of these kind of like offerings to help our customers, right? Whether they are due to regulation or due to choice, they want to operate in a particular region as much as possible and try to bring almost as much of the goodness of Vertex, the platform itself, to those individual regions or cloud offerings that we have.
I mean, yeah, incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. I wanted to ask you actually, maybe just to, by way of wrapping up, to just future gaze a little bit. I can imagine that's extremely hard given the rate of change.
Everybody loves a tech prediction, Dave. Come on.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like, who's always on this, we always enjoy them.
What do you think, looking out, the sort of the impacts of AI are going to be, say, over the next 12 months?
No, I think it's the pace of innovation is just mind blowing. Even though I'm in the thick of
You doing it though, isn't it? I mean, you say pace, you're leading it all.
Yeah.
That's one of it.
Yeah, so actually making predictions has become extremely hard.
Yeah.
I was actually in last week. I was in the Kaggle course where there were a 250,000 people taking a Gen AI course. We were actually attempting to break
Gaggle
the
Force.
Yeah, so Kaggle had a Gen AI course,
Right.
and 250,000 people.
Wow.
Were attending that. And one of the questions, I was part of one of those live sessions, and one of the questions was, how would AI operations change in the next 5 years? And I'm like, 5 years is just 4 hours.
That's a long way out.
That is an
5
eternity.
days.
Yeah. So I mean, the way I think about and how the team operates and how we actually engage with partners is to connect very, very deeply. Just like the partnership that we have between my engineering organization and Google DeepMind, similarly with many of our customers, we have very deep connections. We have, as you were alluding to, like the communication becomes a very interesting facet of how we make progress. So having these tighter knit communication channels, having more predictability in terms of handoffs, not in terms of predictability of like, oh, everything will remain same for a long period of time, but having, here is our release cadence. Yes, there are certain pieces which we will be GAing and we will be making a demo available, but because of the needs of the businesses that are there, actually a lot of the businesses are right now thinking of AI as their differentiator.
Right.
And so we are helping them out in terms of getting to market as quickly as possible, and having and the way we are doing it is by having very, very deep connections with many of our customers, and also with self-service tools and products that we have.
And now maybe being a touch more on the science fiction side of things, but it's probably very quickly going to become science fact. I wonder where your head's at on AGI. And one of the things that we've noodled on the show is like whether we're going to notice when it exists.
Oh, yeah. Or you accidentally create it. Go,
Yeah.
oh, that might actually be an AGI. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have been reading about AGI and discussions for the last 10 years. It is a shifting goalpost, as people say.
Yeah.
Within Google, I think we have been talking about not just AGI, but ASI, which is artificial superintelligence,
No?
which even goes a little bit beyond it.
Accelerates beyond what you might.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think we are a few years away from there, and you can argue, depending on who you talk to, whether it is like handful of years or a few decades.
Right, right.
But yeah, I mean, the progress is amazing. I think right now, maybe one maybe other observation I will share is right now when we are applying AI, we are thinking of it as like, here is a piece of technology, here is a current workflow where I'm trying to integrate it, right? At some point, AI will start doing things with this multi-agents, etc., that we talked about, where it becomes kind of like indistinguishable, like as part of our daily life, right? Like all the ambitions that I would say the personal assistants, the voice-based systems that of the past were announced that it will be like ambient. I think the time is now.
Right.
Like you would have systems which will just understand you,
Yeah.
and you just work with them instead of you are interacting with them and you are making a conscious choice of, now I am interacting with AI and now I am not. Right.
Right.
And if you think about it, 2020, AGI, if you ask me, I got miles out. I'll be gone before it arrives. And now I'm going, well, I could see it happening a bit quicker maybe with that rate of pace of change.
if
Bringing it in fast, I think.
2020, so that's what, 5 years ago?
Pre-COVID, all of this is post-COVID as well.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Absolutely
All
could.
post-COVID.
So if somebody had put that Gemini experiment tool you were using this morning to do the themes
yeah.
summary in front of you and didn't tell you
I thought
anything about it, you would having a conversation with it.
And it is a conversation
It's
as well.
conversation.
Is it?
It's
You can have a
conversational.
conversation with it. Yeah.
So it's quite something. Look, congratulations, man! Like
thank you.
What a hell of a journey you must have been on.
Yeah. And the journey is continuing.
Yeah,
Right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, look, we're going to end the show this week by returning to the theme of magic and magic being real and all around us. And I wonder who your favorite magician was when you were growing up.
So there is an Indian magician called PC Sarkar. I still remember the show that I went to, and he had his like tongue cut off, and he was showing the tongue like as he's walking through in the audience, and all of that. Like that memory as a kid, I still
with you.
That's
Still with you.
That's
Yeah.
a vivid memory I
Yeah,
can imagine from your experience.
Yeah,
It is amazing, isn't it? How those sorts of things as children live with you.
Yeah.
We were talking when we were thinking about the theme of magic this week about a UK magician who was called Paul Daniels. And he is sort of, no disrespect to the memory of Paul Daniels, but he's sort of largely forgotten, I would say. But back when we were kids, like in the 80s,
Prime time.
he had prime time Saturday night, like the biggest show
Oh, wow.
on,
Okay.
on the main channel. And it's like, it's a bit of a shame that
It used to be a big
that's
thing,
all
didn't
that
it,
now.
magic?
Yeah. Like a really,
Maybe we should bring it back. The revival.
I think it is coming back.
Primetime magic.
It is coming back.
I would say in a certain way, like what these AI systems are doing is kind of like very similar to magic,
Yeah.
right? I mean, to your time travel example, right? Even if you time travel 2 years back, 5 years back, right? And if you had a system like Gemini 2.5, like people will be like, okay, something is going
There's a
wrong.
human at the other end.
Yeah, there is
Well,
a
that's the
human
Turing
typing
test, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it's indistinguishable from a human,
Yeah.
that was the
That's the
definition of
Turing
AI.
test,
And
that's right.
actually, for a lot of people, if you took that back 2 years, they wouldn't be able to tell. They're just like confused by it.
Yeah.
Well, look, on that note, Saurabh, we could talk to you all day. What a fascinating conversation. And good luck with future ventures. It's been lovely talking to you. Thanks for your time.
Super nice to talk to you all as well. And hope you have a great Google Next.
Oh, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
If you would like to discuss any of the issues on today's show and how they might impact you and your business, please get in touch with us at cloudrealities@capgemini.com. We're all on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to connect on DM if you have questions for the show to tackle. And of course, please rate and subscribe to our podcast. It really helps us improve the show. A huge thanks to Saurabh, our sound and editing wizards Ben and Louie, our producer Marcel, and of course to all our listeners. See you in Google's reality next.